What's up guys, I'm Andrew and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can use the Elementor sticky scrolling effect very professionally. So I'm going to show you 3 different examples and use cases of the Elementor sticky scrolling effect. So let's get started. So this is a website from one of our tutorials where we build a cryptocurrency academy using LearnDash, and here I have added 3 different pages to this website. The first one is this FAQ, and as you can see we have this box here, but it's very boring this way. We want it to stay here. The second example is this page that we have this here. It's a little similar to the previous example, and we want this call to action to stay here. So this is usually what people do. They want the call to action to be visible everywhere. And finally, we have some kind of article here, and as you can see, we have titles, and we want to make it more engaging. So we are going to use Elementor for these purposes, starting from the FAQ page. Now, before starting, I have to tell you that you have to use the pro version of Elementor for this purpose. The free version, unfortunately, doesn't have this sticky scrolling effect, so you do need the pro version. But then if you have it, you can just click on edit with Elementor, and we have the layout here. It's a very basic layout, so we have only one section for this whole page. We have 2 columns here. The first column is this navigation section that I have created using a list. So we have a basic list here, and as you can see, the first one is working. I haven't added the links to the other ones. I'm going to show you how you can do it, but basically it's just a simple icon list. So you can choose the icon and you can choose the titles, and you can also optionally give them links. So for this purpose, we are going to use the ID of these elements. So it's very easy, and this is what people do for on-page navigation. So we have the first item here, and here in the advanced, you can see that we have the CSS ID of item number 1. So you can just point to this CSS ID by using a pound sign or hashtag and then the name of it. So I can just do it for the other ones as well. So here in the second one, I can just bring advanced, and CSS ID, I can just type here item 2. And for the third one, I can just bring advanced, and again for the CSS ID, I'm just going to type item 3. And also item 4 and 5 for the other ones. Now that we have the IDs, we can just point to them here. So you can just do it with any kind of links. I can just have, for the second question, I can have ID of item 2, like this. And I'm just going to do it for the other ones as well. Now, as you can see, our list is functional, so people can just click, but the problem is that as soon as we click, we lose the list. So this is the default way CSS works, so we want to change it, but it's very easy. So all I have to do is to just select my icon list here and bring advanced and then motion effects, and we have this sticky option here. It's very powerful, so it's set to none by default, and I can just change it into top or bottom. So most of the time we do need top. So when I set it to top and then I'm just scrolling down, as you can see, it's going to stay in position where it just touches the top. So it's not touching the top because we have some kind of margin here. So as you can see, we have this top margin of 4 EM. If I reduce it to, for example, 0, then it's going to just come here to the top and then stay here, but usually we want margin. Now when I add my margin, as you can see, it's going to come down even when I'm not scrolling, and you might want it to just stay there when I'm not scrolling, and when I just come down, you want it to have some kind of margin here, some kind of space here. It's very easy to do. So all I have to do is just bring motion effects. Again, we want it to be sticky on the top. You can have bottom, but it's when you can scroll up. In this case, as you can see, I cannot scroll up further, but basically it will just stay here in the bottom of the page. But we usually use top, so I just set it to top. Then we have this offset, so I can just give it some offset. So if I just give it 40, you can see that it's in its position, but as soon as I scroll, it's not going to touch the edge of my page, so it's going to have some space equal to 40 pixels. So I can just set it to, for example, 60, and as you can see, we have this nice effect. So maybe 90 I think is good. So it's in its position, but then it's just going to come down. Now you can measure this distance in pixel, so it's the width, so it's the height of this logo plus this space in margin, but you can just work it and find the best value, and then it's going to just stay here because the offset is just the same, so you can just play with this offset. We also have this stay in column effect, so basically it's just going to tell the element to just stay within its column. In this case, it's not going to make any difference because the column is just here, it's not going to finish, so you are going to see it in other examples. So we're just going to turn it off for now. So we have this nice effect here, and if I just bring my front page and FAQ, you can see that we have this very functional and good menu, so people always can navigate to different sections of the website. That's very cool. Now the second example is also a little similar to this. So we have this, what do people say? This is actually a kind of social proof. We again have two columns, but we want this call to action to stay here. It's very similar, so I just bring Elementor. Now again, we have one section here with two columns, the same as the previous one, but we also have one additional section holding this title. And also this is just a call to action element here. I have just give it some border radius and some shadow, so it's looking nicer, but this is just the call to action widget from Elementor. Now I can just select it, bring advanced, motion effects, set it to a sticky top. And now as you can see, it's going to stay, but again, we want it to have some space here, so we can just give it some offset value here, like 90, and update. And now we have these nice effects, so that's very cool. And finally, we are going to work on this Why Crypto Academy page. So as you can see, this is some kind of feature listing page. So we have our features, and here we have the title. So it happens a lot that you want to have something listing some features or listing something, and then you have the titles, but it's a little boring like this. So we can just give it some kind of effect to make it more engaging. So I can just bring Elementor and select one of these. So I'm just going to select the first one, and then advanced, and then motion effects. I'm just going to set it to a sticky top. So now as you can see, it's going to stay here until we scroll, but it's going to just disappear when the columns runs out. So this is because of this staying column. By default, it's just turned off. So when you have it off, it's going to stay here forever. So this is something that you should be very careful. So this is nice for some layouts, but basically it's just going to stay forever here, and items can overlap. So here I'm just going to set it to on, so it's going to stay within its column, and I'm just going to simply do this for the other ones. Now for this element, I'm just going to select it and change it for a minute to a sticky bottom to see what we get. Now because we have this same column, we are not going to see anything, so it's just all working like an ordinary element. But if I turn off this staying column, it's just going to come down and stay here forever. So for a sticky bottom, you want to turn off this staying column, and this is good for things that you want to just come here and stay at the bottom. But for this effect, we are just going to set it to top and check the stay on column and just update. So as you can see, we have these 3 pages, and there are lots of things that you can just build with these scrolling effects. So it's very powerful. The options are very simple, very minimal, but you can just build very beautiful pages using this sticky scrolling effect. And that's it, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel for more WordPress content. And like always, you can reach our team from the link in the description.